Hello and welcome to my Sunday stream live. I'm Lealure. I'm gonna adjust this. I don't know what happened here. It's a little bit weird. Maybe my chair's too high. Oops. So welcome. I am a hypnotist. I do weekly live group sessions on Sundays based on whatever's in my head or whatever's in your head, as long as it's safe for adults on camera. And I usually talk a little bit about what I've been up to and go from there. If you are part of this and you would like to share with me what you are interested in going through and doing, if you would like to have a good time with playing around with different kinds of triggers, different kinds of suggestions. If you want to experience things that you never have before, this is a pretty safe place for you to let that happen. The kind of hypnosis I do is, generally speaking, good for you, and also generally speaking, effective for most people. And I work on how subjects can have and can be aware of their own agency and can get the most out of a session, how you can be a better subject, things like that. So if you are interested in any of those things, stick around. I'd be happy to share things with you. I would like to say hi to both Trash Can and to Roshan, and I want to say, and Lucky Bob, and I just want to say thank you all so much for being here, and I want to say it was super nice to meet you, you know who you are, last weekend at Charmed. It was great. Which was so much fun, and I'm definitely going to talk about it. I did a little live stream from there too, but it's way more fun to be able to have a little bit more time in my home little box. There's my box is this big. My recording studio is just this big. But it's fun to be able to meet people and hopefully to get to hypnotize them, stuff like that. It's super exciting. So, also, if you were there and we hung out, I want to say that it was really nice to get to do that. I was very antisocial on Thursday and some of Friday, and it took me a while to get back into actually being social. So thanks for hanging out with me and helping me be more social. That was great. So while I was there, I did a whole bunch of things that were teaching oriented. So on Friday, DJ Pinchin and I redid a class from our hypnotic amnesia. We used to teach a hypnotic amnesia class while we were writing a book about it. We wrote a book about it, and it's been 10 years, which is a very long time. But anyway, so we talked about what we've been doing a little bit differently and how different people might respond differently to different types of suggestions. One of my favorite ones that we talked about that didn't make it to the book that we did talk about in the class is how somebody was used to having people tell them, oh, we're just putting stuff in these boxes, and then their brat side would go and look through all the boxes. But that wasn't actually how they were developing the memories. So they were developing memories by watching it on a projector. So we turned the projector off and they couldn't see it. So even though they could look around at all the spaces where they had previously been used to looking for things that had been hidden from them, this time there was nothing. So they experienced amnesia that way. And for a lot of people, stopping that memory from being observed in whichever way you can observe it can be a powerful way to actually get rid of a suggestion. Get rid of a whole bunch of things, honestly, get rid of a suggestion or other topics that have come up. And I think that that's super fun. Yeah. So I used to do a London hypnosis workshop, and I had people from all over Europe coming there. But there are people from all over Europe that came to Charmed. Actually, there were people from New Zealand, maybe Australia, maybe I'm getting that mixed up, maybe it was one or the other, and definitely from the Netherlands, from Scotland, England, they're definitely there. So also there, the Netherlands and I think Germany, both have had hypnosis conventions, but they've all been smaller, unfortunately. The one that I used to do, I think at its biggest, we might have had 24 or 5 people. It was hard for me being in the US to find a space to do it. Like over in the US, it's easy enough to rent out a hotel or hotel rooms or a floor with meeting space. It was not so simple where I was looking in Europe, or rather in England. And maybe if I was like there all the time and had more opportunity to go and look for things, I could have found them. But yeah, so. But there are them over there, and you might want to join the Charmed server and see if there's like a European faction space in there, or you could ask people, if there are other things. And there are definitely other events that happen in Europe, in England, that you could go to and have a good time at. So, all right, so Thursday, I was antisocial. I flew in. Friday, did that class. We may do an updated or like a version 2 of the book just to incorporate a few new things into it. Maybe, I don't know. We have to work on it. But we were inspired to at least talk about it, so it could be a thing that happens that we do. On Saturday, I taught another class called Freeze Frame. And we basically do a session. So it was DJ Pinchin again and Scenic. And they do a scene together, and I stop them in the middle, and we point out things that they have happened to do something either very right or very wrong, and we talk about how that scene progresses. It's usually pretty entertaining to watch. They've been playing together for a long time, but it's interesting to watch people who are experienced partners at something pretend to be first timers and to see how they go about it. I got a kick out of it. I think the audience got a kick out of it too. We'll see what happens. Out of sight, out of mind is one of my most powerful personal amnesia tricks, because I will forget just about anything. I don't know, I don't need hypnosis to help me forget stuff, but I should probably start working with it to help me remember stuff. I need a lot of alarms. I set a lot of alarms for myself ahead of time so I can be where I need to be. They're very specific alarms too. It's like, go to this place at this time, and it's like 10 minutes before, so I have enough time to get there, or half an hour before. But yeah, out of sight, out of mind works for me. So that class was a lot of fun, and then Saturday night was, did I just do something different? So, I guess Friday night was it was like a big party. I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday. I think it was Friday. Big party space where there are a lot of, I call them tasting events or demo events. So you can come in and you can try a whole bunch of different things out that you have never gotten to try before, or that you have gotten to try before and you really like it. So shush, I don't know what you mean. I have never been diagnosed with ADHD or any of those things. I have no idea if I have it. I might be a little scared to bring it up to my doctor. That's all I'm saying. At the tasting event, there were people doing butterfly inductions. There were people getting shoved up against walls. There were people doing fractionation. There were people doing, did I already say handshake inductions? That's what I was doing. I was doing handshake inductions. And it was so much fun when I was practicing the night before with the person that was getting shoved up against the wall. I could remember 4 off the top of my head. And I was like, that's not right. There are so many more. Why can't I remember any of these? And so I cheated, sort of. And I looked up on YouTube handshake induction variations. Oh my God, it was this guy doing the exact same thing 5 times in a row with like teeny tiny little things. I'm like, That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for things that are various and assorted handshake inductions that are not the same. So I created a new one of my own, and then I also asked Wise Guy, who's on the Concom at Charmed, and he wrote Mind Play. I asked him for some help, and he was heading in the same direction that I was, so we went right back, and we did a few more, and I got to practice. So that was great. First of all, Groundhog Day is one of my favorite movies. I used to use it, although I haven't in a while, to fall asleep to. So every night, it was The Princess Bride, Die Hard, Groundhog Day, maybe Willow. So those four, I think, were in very heavy rotation. I would literally like pop in the CD and watch them, listen to them as I fell asleep. And then I discovered listentoamovie.com, and then I just downloaded the audio so I don't have to have any lights. Yeah, so Groundhog Day is one of my very favorite movies. I probably know most of it. I was just thinking that there's bits in the middle, closer to the end, that sometimes doesn't always work. Sometimes I try to fall asleep to something, and I'm not, but I'm listening to something, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I haven't heard this part in a while, and wide awake. Yeah. So here's another tangent. I used to really like Willow, and then somebody who was very, very interested in being turned into, hypnotically, being turned into a pig, started talking about that movie and Cersei and the witch, and so I I started watching it more often than the other. So because there's that scene where the whole army turns into pigs. And anyway, so I used to do that with this person. I don't do a whole lot of transformations, but I have turned people into cows. That's very popular. Dinosaurs, cats, dogs. I think that might be it. I mean, other terrible things, but as far as fun, animalistic things, that's what I've turned people into. So that's kind of fun and exciting. I never talk about that really, but so if you're here, thank you. Feel free to let me know if there are things that you would like us to do today together. I like hearing what is going on in your brain that my brain might spark off of. It's very helpful, especially when I am maybe a little out of it. I don't know. I've started to make quilts. So I used to make quilts. I used to teach quilting. I haven't done it for a while, and I started to get back into it, mostly because I'm going to have to whittle down my fabric and crafting collection at some point in time. So I sewed all these pieces. I laid them all out on the floor, and then I was like, oh, I have enough for 2 quilts. And we'll just see what happens. I'll probably show you guys probably pictures. You know, they get big. I can't like actually just show you the whole thing, especially from here. So I'll probably post some pictures at some point in time. And you guys can take a look at my basic ass quilting work that I'm getting into because I'm too tired to do something fancy right now. But I did a little bit I made a Christmas present for somebody that was like it was like a piece of it was a square piece of fabric, but it had like a whole bunch of it had a heart that was made out of a whole bunch of different little pieces of fabric, and I put it on a sweatshirt for her and quilted that. Also, I quilted it with glow-in-the-dark thread, which I'm really eager to see how bright it's actually going to be. I was like, oh, that could be cool to have the little outline of the heart on the heart show up. I don't know. Okay, so the handshake induction thing was fun, and here I'm going to talk to you about the 5 that I can do. So let's see if I can do it. And I'm going to use my 2 hands. One of them won't work very well, and I'll tell you why. But so the first one, I would like stick out my hand, or you stick out your hand and go like this, and then I take my hand and I'm like tapping on the outside edges of your hand, and I'm going all the way down this hand, and then your hand, pretend this is your hand and not my other hand, gets a little cataleptic. In most instances, it gets very cataleptic. And so it's just hanging there, not moving, right? Which is fun. That was the original Ericksonian handshake, and he would do this to his psychiatric doctors and colleagues at the hospital that he used to work at, and then they would stop wanting to shake his hand, and this is how Don't Shake a Hypnotist's Hand became a thing. Anyway, so when this hand can't move, the fun thing about it that I love to do is to transfer that to the other hand. Like and I always check, I'm like, you can move that other hand, right? And they're like, yep. And then I go, well, we're going to transfer this also to your other hand. And then they can't move it, and I pick it up, and they have like two hands, just like zombie out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of fun. So that's my absolute favorite one. Absolute favorite one. And then the second one is the one that came from Richard Bandler, right? So you stick your hand out, and then instead of shaking your hand, they usually pick it up by the wrist and also sometimes the elbow, but they pick it up, and then they tell you to stare at this, and then this finger heads to your forehead, and when it touches your forehead, you can drop deeply into trance, right? So that's the second one. The third one is I just shake your hand. I literally just shake your hand, and sometimes I go like extra heavy sort of down, and I shake people's hands until they come up and drop down as I shake their hand. And then, so it's a lovely little way to get fractionated by having your hand shaken. That's fun. I don't know if that I came up with that one necessarily, but I don't remember anyone else doing that before I started doing that many years ago at an event. I was doing a whole outdoor class. Super great. I highly recommend, if you can go to events that have like fun outdoor kink classes, go to a hypno one. They're great. The next one that I came up with, the next one Wisegate came up with, and it was basically like you grab them, instead of by the hand, you grab them by here, and you just sort of begin to like lift it up, and then you can let it drop, and they can drop into trance. The other one requires, like, it's hard for me to do it because I offer my hand, and then I offer my other hand, so they're across, right? And I have both of your hands, and then I tell you that you're going to stare at the space between your hands as I let them go, and your hands start to go like this. And then when they touch, you drop into trance, and then when your hands drop, you go deeper. Anyway, that's a brief overview of what I was doing. It was so fun. I probably did, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30. It takes a little while to do them, but I was hoping to get to everybody that wanted to do them at that time, and it was super fun. Yeah, voice fascination. Sometimes, let me just say, it's not all that great if people are fascinated with your voice to the point that when they hear it, you go into trance when you're trying to teach a class, because that sometimes happens. Or I've had people be demo subjects, and I have to tell them to not go into trance too fast, because I start talking, and they go, and I'm like, wait, not yet. I haven't been able to demonstrate what I wanted to demonstrate, because you're too good. You're too good. Just hold on. Let's make you not quite as good, and then I'll demonstrate it with you, and then you can go back to being as good as you were before. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, there were a lot of people getting shoved up against walls, which is super, super hot. And I think, I don't know why more people don't want to get shoved up against walls, honestly. As long as you're, not getting your head hurt. I think it's pretty sexy to shove someone up against a wall. Well, there's a little insight into me, so there you are. I don't really want to be shoved up against the wall, but that's okay. So, what would you like to do today, folks? Where would your brain like to go? I'm going to keep talking about what else I did this weekend, Saturday, I went out for dinner, which was lovely. Got to hang out with some wonderful people. On Saturday night, I came back, and it was Vending, which I helped out with. I sold all the rest of the books I brought with me, and we did some vending and got rid of some other stuff. So, isn't what just a compliance letter, Roman? I'm also going to show you, I had a little So one of the Charmed Concom made these all by hand. And when I say all, like I have one right here, they literally made hundreds of them. There were bags stuffed with them, and you could get all different kinds of combinations. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay. So it's, is it backwards for you guys? Anyway, in gold it says Charmed, and then it has 202543321, which is really any opportunity that you have to like just go down in numbers for a hypnosis event. So fun, right? I think I also talked about when I was there about my glitter paper. I'm not going to unroll it. I wrapped this up in saran wrap so it wouldn't make a mess in the recording studio because this is all like fabric and not good. So anyway, I just thought it was delightful. So it's really shiny, really nice. I got it all over me. It's in my bag, but I don't care. I mean, I don't care what people say about glitter. I like the shine, and it makes me very happy. Oh yeah, okay. So the other thing I'm going to show you that I got is this ring, which is absolutely massive. It is probably more massive than any of the other rings that I have. And I don't know where the box is that has the other big flowery one, but look at that thing. It's so amazing. It actually is pretty heavy, and it, you know, kind of flops around a little bit, so I might just right there. I'm gonna wait 2 or 3 more minutes because, you know, there's going to be some ads coming. If they haven't hit you already, thank you for being here through the ads. It's nice to know that people are watching. But I'm definitely going to do some eye fixation on this. I did also, in addition, switch, bring this with me, which was great. I used this for a group trance that I did, and I use it for a couple other things that I did. Yeah, it is like ring pop on steroids. It's so crazy. It's just so phenomenally big. And I think I don't know if this is a thing for doing gua sha. It's actually very cold. I think I had an ice pack sitting against it, and so now it just wants to fog up. So it may not quite be as shiny as I'd like it to. Yeah, it's fogging up already in here because it was too icy. I mean, it feels great, but it's not going to be good for trance. So anyway, eyes. We got eyes, and we got obnoxious ring pops. But look how beautiful that is. Like all those colors. I get called a magpie pretty regularly. And I guess one of my weaknesses is large, colorful rings that I think are going to be good for putting somebody into trance. I know, the colors are amazing. There were a couple others, and this one was the best, in my opinion. I was like, oh no, I want all of these colors to just be right there. Because, right, it's like hard to focus because like the outside is kind of green, and then there's like a yellow ring like on the inside after the blue-green. It's like blue-green, and then it's like sort of pink and purple in the middle. It's insane. I love it so very much. Yeah, so thank you for looking at my ring and my eye bag. And however you find yourself doing, I'm going to have to switch off with hands because it's too heavy to hold up, right? It's obnoxious. It is adjustable, so if I was like out in public wearing this, I'd probably have to like add something to help make it stay on the top of my hand. But I wouldn't have to hold it up for the camera. So, you know, normally when I do eye fixations, I get to think of all the things that I might want you to find yourself focusing on. I can see some words in there, and I don't know what they say. They might be the words in the OBS that's behind the camera. But it's hard for me to keep holding it still. And all the other colors are just so amazing. Let's just go into the hypnosis part of it, and I bet it can feel really good. It could be made into a pendant except for this thing on the back. I think it would be very heavy. I don't think I'd want to wear it around my neck. If I could get one that was like thinner or that looked similar but it wasn't quite as heavy, I might want to do that. But I do adore how crazy this is. And I guess technically, if I could get another one of these, I could probably have one made into a pendant, because I'm pretty sure that back bit could get flattened out and smoothed down, and then it could have like chains attached on the outside. But it's still pretty heavy, so. Anyway, so I would like you to think about how good it feels while you listen to the sound of my voice, while you find yourself focusing on the shiny things that I have in front of me, or whether you let your eyes close, whichever way feels better for you. And you can notice that even if you close your eyes, you might be able to open them and find that I'm still holding this up at some point in time. I can't guarantee that I'm going to keep holding it up. I might switch to the bag, to the wallet. But however it happens, you can find that it's easy for you to go into trance. You can listen to the things that I say. You can notice that your brain would prefer to be a little quieter. How good does it feel when your brain gets a little quieter? How good does it feel when your brain lets go of things? How good does it feel to take a little break, right? How good is it for your unconscious mind to just know that your conscious self can do as little as possible for the next little while I talk? And while your conscious self does as little as possible, maybe your unconscious mind can figure out how it can pay more attention. Ooh, look at that pattern. It's like a kind of a diamond-y pattern with a little point in the middle where they meet. I don't think I noticed that before, but I can kind of see it now as I'm moving this back and forth. If you have your eyes closed, you may not care about that. If you're deeply in trance, you may not care about that. But it was cool to see that for a little while. It was cool to notice that it was there for a little bit. But however you find yourself paying attention or not paying attention on any sort of conscious level, your unconscious mind can notice that it feels really good to drop deeply into trance. It feels really good for you to find yourself taking a break. It feels really good for you to notice that now's the time for you to take a rest. You have permission. You have my permission. You have any permission you need, internally, externally, to take a break. It just feels incredibly right for your brain to not have to be there all the time. It feels good for you to notice that you can listen to the things that I say, and you can find yourself surrendering to how good it feels to be deeply in trance. You can allow yourself to become fractionated. What if you like to close your eyes, but when I talk about the ring, you find yourself opening them, and then you look, and there it is. And when you open your eyes, you come up a little bit. And when you close your eyes, you just drop down deeper into trance. And the more you find yourself in that state and in that space of dropping down deeply into trance, the less you find yourself actually there, the more powerful it is for you to notice that your conscious self doesn't have to participate in any meaningful way. Your conscious self can take a break. You can rest for a while. I don't know how easy it is for you to notice that your conscious self can let thoughts be less and less clingy. Conscious thoughts can just slide away. They can pop away. They can go away. And your unconscious mind can feel really, really good at your ability to pay attention, to focus unconsciously, But your unconscious mind does so many other things all at the same time. Your unconscious mind does a lot of important things all at the same time. Because your unconscious mind does so many important things, this is just one more tiny little thing that your unconscious mind might possibly be having you focus on. And when you find yourself focusing on this ring, or maybe your eyes close, or maybe you open and close them and you get that added fractionation boost, there's something about that that can just feel very, very good for you. Let your unconscious mind think about how good it feels when you can take care of yourself. Let your unconscious mind just delight in the idea that taking care of yourself is a thing that becomes very important. That allowing your unconscious mind to notice that taking care of yourself feels really good. To let your unconscious mind think that taking care of yourself is simple and easy. Let your unconscious mind think about how good it can be for you to notice that the things that are important for your body and your mind to act on regularly and usually can become things that on a conscious level you don't have to think about anymore. It's funny for me, at about 10:07 every night, because I'm getting old, I just start to yawn. And then when I do that, I know that I'm going to go do 5 things to get ready for bed. I might do more, but those are 5 things that I think are important for me to make happen. And it feels really, really good. They include things like brushing and flossing my teeth and putting some moisturizer on and a few other things I'm not going to mention, but that's okay. So your brain can think about things like that you might have to do, that you find yourself letting go of. You find yourself maybe sometimes being too consciously aware of them. One other thing that I do is usually when I come home from my job at the warehouse, I take off my shoes in the garage and I go into the kitchen and I put down my bag, and then I get a cup, which I have cleaned already, a cup and a lid and a straw. They're all together on the side of the sink, probably having been washed from the day before, and I make myself a fruit smoothie almost every day. That's usually my breakfast, and it usually happens around 1:30 to 2:30, depending on how busy I've been and the day of the week it is. But I don't have to think about these things because my unconscious mind knows that this is what I do to help keep me going. Usually that's when I have my caffeine. I add some Celsius to my smoothie in addition to some other liquid. And it's a whole bunch of frozen fruit, and I just blend it up and I drink it down, down, down. And I bet you can think of other things like that you might find yourself doing that might be helpful for you to notice. That you do these things and maybe you don't want to have to think about them. You just want to be able to do these things and get these things done, and then notice that you are sitting at your desk getting paperwork done with a fruit smoothie in your hand, or whatever else it is that works for you. And the more you find yourself in that state of, at any time of day, whenever there is a little routine that you might find yourself wanting to do or needing to do, that your brain can think about it, and then your unconscious mind can go, okay, I'm going to take this over. And I say this because there are so many things that we find ourselves having to give extra thought to these days. Our lives are becoming more and more complicated, more and more red tape, more and more hoops to jump through, more and more stuff that just slows us down, and not in a good way. So right now you can find yourself perhaps slowing down in a good way while your unconscious mind thinks of the things that you find yourself doing on a regular basis that might have a habit or a pattern to them that is a healthy habit or pattern for you, and that you can find yourself accepting, that you can find yourself unconsciously going, okay, I'm going to make sure we take care of these things, and I'm going to help make it happen automatically, and I'm going to help make it happen easily, and I'm just going to help make it happen. And if we needed to change that, we could. You know, if you're traveling and you don't bring frozen fruit in a blender with you, you're not going to make a smoothie, and it's totally fine. So your brain doesn't have to like glitch out at whatever time it might ordinarily have done these things. But it just feels so good for you to notice that you can surrender and give in to the things you find yourself just needing to let happen. And your unconscious mind can think about how easily it can make those things happen. And your brain can think about, if you're still letting your eyes open, how pretty this damned ring is. I have to tell you, it's very challenging for me to not keep looking at it. I'm lying. I'm keeping looking at it. Mostly to keep it in the frame, but not only to keep it in the frame. Because I bet your brain would like to be able to let go of some more stuff. To rest and relax and to take a break and to stop worrying about those things that you just find yourself doing, and then you don't have to feel like you have to go do it. You just automatically go do it. Let your brain think about how good it is for your conscious self to take a rest and to take a break and to surrender and give in to being able to take care of yourself, to feed yourself good habits, to allow your brain to notice that it feels amazing to get stuff done in that way. Because then on a conscious level, you can focus on those things that you have to focus on because they require more attention. And the things that don't require more attention, let your unconscious mind pick them up. And as your unconscious mind picks them up, you can notice how good it feels for you to find yourself dropping down deeper into trance. It feels so good for your brain to notice that you can drop and sink down more and more deeply into trance. Let your unconscious mind delight in how good it feels. While you find yourself thinking about how good it can be for your unconscious mind to take over some good habits and patterns that you have to do, I'd like you to imagine what that's like. Maybe you can close your eyes if they're not already closed, and you can think about the way that you have been doing these things in the past. Can you see or feel or hear anything about those? Can you, for example, taste the mint of the toothpaste, for example? Or can you allow your unconscious mind to just delight in knowing that your brain does these things? Or can you take a look at the way you have done things in the past and then imagine your unconscious mind just making them happen automatically for you? And then what happens as your unconscious imagines those things for you? Your unconscious does those things for you. And you can stop imagining that because your unconscious mind just does the things and you don't have to think about that anymore. You can just find that those habits, those patterns, those things you wanted to turn into something automatic and fun and easy just begin to happen. You receive a signal like my yawn. And then you find yourself giving in a little bit more. You feel yourself giving in a little bit more. You are aware that you have given in a little bit more and that you are just doing these things. And let them be those things that you don't have to find yourself thinking, did I do that? Your unconscious mind will emphatically tell you, yes, we already did that today, if you needed to question that. Your brain will let you know it has done the thing. It has made your habit, it has made your pattern more practical, more sensible, more effortless, and your conscious self gets to take a break. Your conscious self gets to rest. Your unconscious mind just surrenders to the thoughts that I'm helping you to become positive, effortless actions. And the more your brain lets those things become those positive, powerful actions that are good for you, the less you find yourself having to worry about anything. The more you find yourself simply surrendering and giving in to how nice it is to just notice that these things have been done, that these things have been finished. You could ask yourself, and yourself would say, yep, we did these things. And it feels so good for your brain to acknowledge that. And notice that when you get a break on a conscious level, because your unconscious mind is doing something, notice that it feels really nice to let that happen. It feels really nice to consciously notice that it feels like you've gotten a break, mentally speaking. You still did the thing on a physical level. You made something happen on that physical level. But you can just accept and surrender and give in to these thoughts and these ideas about how good it is for your unconscious mind to take over, making something into a habit or a pattern that's good for you, that just helps you consciously feel like you have a little bit of breathing room, like you have a little bit more time and space, like you have other things that you could use that time and that space for, and you can, and it feels great to just let that happen. So let your unconscious mind hold on to that. Feel how good that is to hold on to that. And the more deeply you find yourself holding on to these things, the better it is. And the more your brain joins in, the more you find yourself accepting that you can just go deeper into trance, the more wonderful it feels to stare at this insanely shiny, overly large ring, the more wonderful it becomes. And you can feel the way that your body responds. You can feel how nice it is to drop deeper. You can feel the way that you might find yourself fractionated by keeping your eyes closed and then occasionally opening them when I direct you to. You might find yourself just so compelled to look at the colors and the patterns and the shine from that ring that you're fractionating yourself automatically and effortlessly. Feel how good that is. And if you have just joined now and you want to be hypnotized, if you can join in, go ahead. No one's stopping you. And if you need to go back and do it again, you can do that too. Now, normally, when I hold shiny rings up, I like to let your brain count all the facets and count all the places that you see the light hit them. But I don't know how possible it is in this ring because I don't know how many facets there are on the top and on the bottom, and there's so many colors. And each and every one is so fascinating and so captivating. And you can just find yourself giving in and dropping. You can find yourself surrendering to the ring, to the sound of my voice, to how good it feels to just drop and sink. And the more your brain does that, the stronger the rainbow effect of this ring becomes. It's really so amazingly good. It's so lovely and so wonderful. And your brain can just hold on to that thought. Your unconscious self can just think about how good it feels, how wonderful it is, how easy it becomes for you to drop and give in more strongly. For you to notice that your unconscious self likes being in that place where you have fewer and fewer things to think about and fewer thoughts because they've all popped out of your head. And you can realize that your unconscious mind is just so delighted at being able to be paid attention to, at being able to make sure that your conscious self gets directed in certain ways and learns to do that better and better for you. And everything about that can become a little bit more compelling and a little bit more powerful. So hold on to those thoughts. Hold on to how good it is for your unconscious mind to take over some tasks and habits and patterns. And then on the count of 10, while I try to refocus, allow your unconscious mind to come back all the way feeling really, really great. Oh, didn't even I didn't even really share the other side with you guys, and I probably should have. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take a nice deep breath in. Move your body a little bit. My neck muscles just crickety cracked. And 10, wide awake, eyes open, feeling more and more wonderful. Come up and say hello when you are able to, notice how good it can feel to have taken a little break. You don't have to have those thoughts back that you had before unless you really want to have them back. You can have thoughts back when you need to have them back. You're so welcome. Everything can feel really, really great. Thank you. I'm glad it was fun. And no matter what else it is that you find yourself doing this week, I'm going to tell you that I hope you have a great time with it. If you are a member, I'm starting to do more members-only videos. I am in the process of making a new 5-part audio series, and I am recording some of that live on YouTube for members. So I'm glad it was just what you needed. Yes, I lose myself in the facets all the time. It's terrible. You know, when I look at it like just head on and I don't move it, I can see those patterns that I was pointing out to you guys. But otherwise, I really never noticed them before because I think I was always too busy moving it around. Always too busy moving it around to see that particular pattern. Anyway, I'm going to put it down because otherwise I will just start staring at it and you don't need to see the part in my hair more than I have already shown it to you. So, all right. Thank you for being here. I hope your the rest of your weekend goes great. I'll be back next week. And it feels really, really good. I trust your unconscious mind will do the things that it needs to help you as well. So thanks for being here. All right, folks. If you're not already back, I'm going to count to 10 one more time. Come all the way up on the count of 10, feeling great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Taking a nice deep breath in. 9, moving about and stretching. And 10, eyes open, wide awake. And I will see you all next Sunday about 3 o'clock. Bye.